92.7. It's the moment you've been waiting for. Sam Jordan's Nougat Radio 92.7 Sports now.
Football, high school football, gentlemen. Good evening.
Good evening. Happy to be here. Happy to be anywhere.
Talking about football. I'm
Talking about football.
Yeah, no, good evening. Football. That's the only thing that really matters this time of year anyway, and I'm here for it.
We couldn't have gotten a better game last week, and we talked about this on Saturday on Nick's show, The Breakfast Split, picking Red Bank and Chattanooga Central. My question is, are we picking the best game in the region for tomorrow night with Red Bank and Signal Mountain?
Well, when it comes to a rivalry, I think there's an opportunity there. I think, obviously Red Bank and Signal Mountain always have a little bit of bad blood between the two. Easy for me to say. Those two don't like each other too much. But it'll be a good game. I do think so. Signal Mountain's coming off a couple of tough losses, playing defended state runner-up in final last week, and just a monsoon game against East Hamilton 2 weeks ago. So it'll definitely be a good game. Red Bank's finally got one under their belt, so they probably feel a little bit better. And obviously, we'll talk to Coach Chris Brown about it.
Signal Mountain's coming in here with an 0-2 record, which is kind of surprised a few people.
It's a little surprising, but it's also one of those things where the team is better than the record indicates. They're not a bad football team, but football's a game of interest. If you just have things not go your way.
When you play a team like Tyner, that's tough. And then before that, you're playing in an absolute just mess of weather the week before. So you can't really judge that East Hamilton game very much.
No. All right, we're going to throw it back over to Keon here as we get ready to talk with Coach Chris Brown from Red Bank High School. And, Keon, what are some of the things that you're going to be looking for with this game?
One of the things that I'm going to be looking for is Red Bank's offense. We did get that slow start the coach didn't want us to have last week, but then things got going. Things got flowing in the second quarter and throughout the rest of the game, and it got very exciting to watch. I thought defensively they looked very good, and one of the things that I'm looking forward to from Signal Mountain is going to be how they rebound from all of these difficulties that they've had. But that's what football is all about. So we have Chris Brown. He's the head coach of Red Bank High School. He's got one W in the book as head coach of the Lions. How's it feel, Coach?
It was incredible.
Of course, we're happy to have you. And, we talked, we said slow start. We want to try to avoid the slow start. And defensively, I think, they had that one drive early where they took the lead, but defense kept you in the game till you offense.
Well, they typically see the head of early in the season and other the season. Rest of the way, they run the Central team.
Yeah, I thought you guys, especially, on offense, you kind of had to feel some things out without Calvin early on. Missed the game due to a hamstring injury, and you had to make, I guess, probably some adjustments in your passing game, not having the target that you're used to having out there. And you had some guys step up, like you said, you thought Mike.
We sure did. Lucas Vaughn is a junior wide receiver who we expected to fill a lot of that void production-wise, be a major target for Maddox, and definitely even put Calvin back on it. I feel like it's just a lot of production.
I think it's Michael Porter who was huge in the special teams game. How did that change the game? Because he got you guys on the board early before your offense really got going.
Just an incredible momentum shift. And everyone's going to remember the punt return for a touchdown momentum shift. But the big thing is he kept us in limit our penalties. I think it was 25 plays or something to take. That was a constant question.
you had a play towards the end of the game. We'll break down more of the game a little bit later, but there was a play towards the end of the game where you guys are up towards the end, and Central has an opportunity to tie the game, and you get beat over the top. You did explain to us a little bit why that happened, but off the air. But like, what goes through your mind when you're dealing with these cramp issues and you're having to plug in guys in positions that they rep, but they don't necessarily play?
Right. Every now and then. I think there could be a little bit of over-aggression on behalf of your team because you had plays like that, and you also had some of the penalties. How do you iron that stuff out when you're heading into Signal Mountain? Now you're going to be on the road. Those penalties, I mean, they get a little harder to overcome on the road. How do you iron that stuff out?
When you guys are prepping, you have 1 week. Now, obviously, this was the same way. But what goes into a 1 week prep, where instead of like for Saudi Daisy, you have a few weeks? Like what goes into a 1 week game prep compared to multiple weeks?
Coach, all right, got a little switching around here, but when it comes to how it is that you guys want to attack a team that looks like you, how do you sort of go about setting that up? Because I mean, you have a team that looks like you, but they're still different guys. Is there anybody else that you have to like key in on or focus on?
We are live here at Starbucks at 10 North, here for the Gridiron Gang Show. Just wanted to let you guys know that if you stop in, there are drinks for this week's game. This week's refreshers of the game are the Red Bank Warren Refresher, which is a strawberry acai refresher with lemonade, and then the Signal Mountain Eagles Frappuccino, which is a vanilla bean Frappuccino with strawberry.
They're both delicious.
They are. I actually did drink the Red Bank, so there you go, Coach. It is a great drink. But Coach, if you guys come out, you come out a little bit flat again. I wouldn't even say flat. It wasn't flat. It was just execution wasn't there. I don't think it was flat. The energy was there. But if you guys come out a little slower again, do you feel like your defense is going to be able to try to keep you in the ballgame against Signal Mountain? Yeah.
You're listening to Nuga Radio 92.7 FM, the Gridiron Gang Show. Head coach Chris Brown of the Red Bank Lions is joining us on the show. Coach, there's a point in that game where you guys go up 20-7 before Central came back and tied it up. What were you thinking when you got that lead? Obviously you want to keep playing the game, but people relax. Is there a way you keep guys motivated? Right.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM. Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Police and fire crews investigating a deadly fire Wednesday night in East Ridge that took the life of a man has later ruled it a suicide. Happened in the 1300 block of St. Thomas Street shortly before 7 p.m. No lane closures for the Labor Day holiday, according to TDOT. Construction crews will stop all lane closure activity beginning at noon on Friday through 6 a.m. on Tuesday, but be aware workers may still be working in many of the construction zones. And the CPD are asking for the public's help after a shooting early Thursday left one person seriously injured. The victim, identified as 29-year-old DeMontez Russell, transported to a local hospital listed in critical condition, happened just before 1 a.m. in the area of the 100 block of East 19th Street and Reed Avenue. If you have info, contact the Chattanooga Police Department. The Glenn Beck Radio Show, weekday mornings from 9 to 11 on Nuga Radio. Val St. John for Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7. Action News now.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Any isolated showers and storms will gradually diminish through your nighttime. Muggy overnight, lows of around 70. For Friday, another very warm, humid day. A few scattered afternoon showers and storms will pop back up. Highs into the upper 80s. A little hotter for the holiday weekend. Highs 88 to 90. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ringgold. For more, their number 706-278-1622. And I'm SNOR Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Asher 4.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
I got my business up and running, and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart. not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
Hey, dude, check this out. Have you ever seen one so big?
Whoa, look at the size of that.
Look at this little itty-bitty one.
Wow, that's really small.
They have them big, small, and everything in between. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives at the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. We're talking about over 40 brands of knives, including Benchmade, WR Case & Sons, Booker, and all the Frost Cutlery brands. Now, Sam, you've been to the cutlery shop. Is it amazing?
Spectacular. The knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. They have knives, swords, kitchen knives, ammo, and reloading supplies, plus survival gear.
It's the knife shop at Frost Cutlery, open 7 days a week. Hey, girls, you're going to love this. We're going to the knife shop. Hey, let's not tell them they have ammo and loading supplies. The knife shop at Frost Cutlery, open 7 days a week. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives. You're going to love the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. The knife shop.
And tell them David Toulis sent you.
Join Nuga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation. 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
The kids are back in school, routine has returned, and we've shifted our thoughts to the fast approaching holiday season. Are you hosting? Want to spruce up before your guests arrive? Whether you want new color and exciting wallpaper or elegant window treatments, the designers at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. With brands like York, Tebow, Graber, and Carroll, we know you'll find something you love. Stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today. It's really more than just a paint store. On Hicks and Pike, across from Valvoline, or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio.
I always like to start out by saying I'm a recovering CIA officer. If you all that were here this morning, I do go to weekly meetings, Agency Anonymous. So I'm getting there. I was a decorated CIA officer. That part of that is in the book, which we fought to get out. Initially, they told me I could never say I worked there. We fought them and we beat them on that one, and we got some things in the book eventually. I went on deadly assignments for my agency and my country. I loved my country. I was very dedicated to the agency. Some of those assignments, they told us we may not come back from. No problem. That's what we did. But the higher I got up in the agency, the more I began to see illegal, unconstitutional, sometimes criminal activity that the agency and some other sectors of the shadow government, I call it, were doing things that were illegal and unconstitutional. And I always have to say this: the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It supersedes every other law in the U.S. criminal justice system and the judicial branch. That's worth remembering. When the U.S. government violates the Constitution, they are committing multiple felonies based on the foundation of our government. We must always remember that. So as a federal agent, I had to swear an oath to the Constitution to defend the Constitution and our country against enemies, foreign and domestic. The problem was There were some that were domestic, and there were some that happened to be in our own government. So I had to make a decision. Was I going to uphold my oath to the Constitution, or was I going to shrink back? And for me, it was an easy choice. I chose to stand for the Constitution, and that's why I'm here this evening. We have to. If it's because we have been so busy with our lives, just trying to survive, that they've been able to get away with doing what they've done. This is a wake-up call. This is an alert. This whole conference and the one that's subsequently going to come after this is a wake-up call. It is almost too late to stop what is now a post-constitutional government. The people are no longer ruling in our country. The government in a tyrannical form is now ruling the people by subversion, force, and fear. Sadly, that's what we have today. The reason I am here is the question is always asked, where are the whistleblowers? If there is a covert geoengineering program, why aren't people coming out and blowing the whistle on it if it's so dangerous? The NSA surveillance program, if it wasn't for Edward Snowden, who both the Democratic and Republican Party have come out publicly and said they want him assassinated. If it wasn't for Edward Snowden, would we know about the NSA spying program that was collecting 1.5 billion pieces of information on you and me and our telephones and our internet communications, our emails? That's what they were doing, not on terrorists, on us. And they were storing it in the Utah data center, which is still there forever. So if there's something you do later on that they're not real happy with, they've got your emails, your texts, your cell phone conversations, and everything's still stored in the database. And all that stuff, by the way, is still there on you, not on terrorists. Every single American citizen. So this is what we have here. We have a government that is functioning outside the Constitution. This is the size of the secret government. I call it the shadow government. There are some people call it the deep state. Take your pick. Same thing. We've got the CIA, functions covert programs. They're probably the most out of control because their charter is so loose. The IRS has covert programs. FBI, Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, Department of State, Department of Justice, the NSA, and I have added the National Weather Service and NOAA because, as Dane, I think, told you, the National Weather Service and NOAA are now binding their employees with secrecy agreements so they cannot talk without penalty of prison about some of these climate programs that they're doing. That's called a red flag. That's what we're facing. Here is the first whistleblower, John F. Kennedy. The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. One of the greatest speeches ever given in terms of the Constitution. And there is a very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That was a prophetic message by John F. Kennedy. April 27, 1961. We all know what happened to him in 1963, don't we? They had identified, John F. Kennedy and Robert had identified mafia connections within the CIA. There was an assassination program. They engaged in the Bay of Pigs without his knowledge. He had come out publicly and said he was going to break the CIA into 1,000 pieces and dismantle it. And then in 1963, we saw what happened. 9/11, we don't have time to go into that. I just want to say this. I teach criminal investigations at a university. 9/11 was immediately labeled a terrorist event, and there was a reason for that. When you label it a terrorist event, it stops any sort of criminal investigation right in its tracks. If they would have done a criminal investigation of 9/11, it would have uncovered things that would have painted a whole different picture about why those buildings came down. I would encourage you to Architects and Engineers for Truth have done an outstanding video about Tower 7. Tower 7 was not hit by a plane, and it came down under controlled definition. Now, I'm a former CIA analyst, and I'm saying that based on a whole lot of research. That was not done by a plane. And just finally, when the towers came down, hundreds of tons of metal, steel, marble, and concrete turned to dust before it hit the ground. So much so that there was almost no seismic activity when the buildings hit the ground. It was all dust. You can see steel girders as they come down, if any of you seen that, literally vaporize and turn to dust as they fall down. That is not natural. All we're going to say there. I recommend you look into a criminal investigation of 9/11 and get past the terrorist narrative, which has been a favorite one for decades. Where are the whistleblowers? I come from the belly of the beast. I was an interviewer, interrogator. I was a counterintelligence agent. I was a polygraph examiner. I was an internal investigator, and I was on and on and on. And so I know this system, and I know it well, and then I experienced it personally. Why don't people come out in these secret programs that they know are illegal and unconstitutional? Why don't they come out and blow the whistle and tell people what's going on? Well, this is why. The U.S. government, every secret operational program that it has, forces the employee or coerces the employee, the person, into signing what is called a secrecy agreement, non-disclosure agreement. Now, back in the original days, the secrecy agreement was created to protect legitimate sources and methods, military technology and things like that. That was okay. That was fine. The secrecy agreement protected us when we went out in the field, because if they found out who we were, we wouldn't just be killed, we would have been tortured. So it protected our identities, protects the identities of troops in the field doing movements out during wartime. That's how it started. But it's been taken and it's been turned into a monster where the secrecy agreement is now being used as the ultimate tool of intimidation. Every employee that gets a job and obtains knowledge of these covert programs, the Air Force geoengineering program, in my opinion, has to sign this agreement. What the agreement says is, if you disclose anything that you know about this program, you can be terminated or you can force criminal penalties. In other words, you can be put in prison. Good friend, we hope will be speaking at our next event, was put in prison by the CIA for 2 years. That he exposed the torture program, which was a lot more than waterboarding, folks. Matter of fact, they got almost nothing out of waterboarding. People died. It was bad. Anyway, he came out publicly talked about the torture program, made one mistake, one wrong word. They convicted him, John Kirikow, and they put him in prison for 2 years. Modern day hero. Just got out. So served 2 years for coming out and trying to alert people about what was going on. I was talking to somebody in the back. I have to watch every single word I say because they are just waiting for one thing. And so it's a constant screen. You don't want to give them any ammunition to put in their gun. So there's binding power, penalties, and threats for the secrecy agreement. That stops 99% of the people right there. Oh man, I'm not going there. I'll just look the other way. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to lose my job. I don't want my life destroyed. Now, there is a massive, mammoth, complex, secret mechanism in the U.S. government. It's called the intelligence community. It is so powerful that not even the Congress or the Senate can control it. Matter of fact, it controls them. It does whatever it wants. They have these Senate investigations, and they'll come and they say, sorry, Senator, we can't tell you what we're doing because you don't have the agency clearance. And that's where it's shut down. Benghazi is an example. The NSA surveillance program is an example. Where did those go? Nowhere. I sit on the Citizens Commission of Benghazi, and that's a whole nother story, maybe the next conference. Anyway, began in 1948. I talk about this in the book real quickly. An Air Force B-2 bomber had 4 RCA civilian engineers on board. The plane went down in a horrible accident. A couple of the pilots parachuted out. All 4 engineers were killed in a horrible crash. The widows of the engineers demanded to know from the Air Force why the plane crashed and why their husbands died. The Air Force came back and said, well, we can't tell you that because it's secret. Turns out it was gross negligence on behalf of the pilot. Drove the plane into the ground, hit the wrong flaps, hit the thruster instead of the opposite, and literally drove that bomber right into farmland. I've been to the site. I have pictures of it in the book. So the families pushed it and said, no, it wasn't classified. You can't do that. We're suing you for the death of our husbands. So the United States government, the executive branch, created what's called the state's secrets privilege. The state's secrets privilege was literally, the wording was derived from the monarchy of the King of England, which gave the King of England absolute power to shut down any case they deemed was unacceptable. Just shut it down. The state secrets privilege was used to shut down these 4 widows' case. It was shut down. It was sealed in federal court so that no one, including Congress, the Senate, and their attorneys, would ever see it. That's where this all began in 1948. And it's gotten far worse from there. People who signed this binding secrecy agreement, which I have signed several of in several compartments as well, They are not told, and they do not know that when they sign that agreement, they are giving up all of their constitutional rights. They have no right to trial. They have no right to a jury trial. They have no right to sue the government if they are exposed to toxins and made sick, or their family or anyone else. They have lost all their rights to due process. They're not told that. I found that out the hard way when I tried to sue the government, and they came back and said, sorry, pal, you don't have any rights. So I took a different course, which I'll tell you about here in a moment. So that's how they shut them up too. There is within each federal agency. Now remember, since 1948, this procedure has been perfected. It is a science to destroy a whistleblower from the very beginning. They come to a supervisor. They may even have the courage to call their congressman or senator about this illegal operation. And the first thing that happens is they start getting promotions denied, even though they're top performers. Their promotions are denied. They're given embarrassing assignments where they're put in the corner of a building somewhere so that everybody knows that they're being penalized for this. If they continue to blow the whistle and push it even farther, they'll do things like this. I have seen this personally. They'll raise the interest rates on the credit union loans so that their cars and other loans are unaffordable. If they try to pull out their retirement funds to provide for their family, and especially in the case where they've been driven out of the organization will block their retirement funds so the family will be destroyed financially. Now that is a felony. For a federal agency to deny the retirement funds of an employee is a felony. I've seen them do that. And it was an interesting case. They will do that. Now, another thing that they will do, just so you all know this, and I want the public to know this too, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we can see that you're very stressed out by all of this, and we want to help you. So we're going to refer you to the Office of Medical Services so you can undergo some psychological counseling to help you sleep at night and make you better and get rid of your anxiety. So we're going to set up an appointment for you to meet with a psychologist. Now, where do you suppose that goes? The interview's over. The document is falsified. Employee is paranoid, obsessive, compulsive, and disgruntled. That goes in the file, so if it ever does get to the Congress or Senate or court, they pull out and say, well, look, he or she went under an evaluation and they're basically unstable, end of story, shut the case down. Part of an intentional process. It is a campaign. Inspector generals, you guys, you know that every federal agency has an IG, an inspector general, right? They're created, supposedly, to oversee that agency and keep it out of criminal activity, right? Well, wrong. A lot of inspector generals, now I have to give some kudos to the state IG because they helped me expose one particular operation. My agency's IG, I submitted a 15-page complex documented report documenting my family was exposed to toxins. My wife was bleeding out of her gums. She was bruising all over her body. She lost her short-term memory. She was on morphine because of severe headaches because of the toxins they didn't want people to know about that she was being exposed to. That's what they didn't want people to know. So I submitted this document to the IG. Look, I did secret tests. I ran samples out to certain reputable universities. I secretly flew my son out for medical evaluation with a well-known immunologist. I got it all back, put it all together, went into their desk, laid it on there and said, tell me there's no toxins on this base. So they got the IG involved. We go into the big meeting with the IG, and I said, bring out my investigation, my report. Oh, well, we don't know where it is. Now, I've been told by other officers that the roof was being raised off headquarters because of this case. Reporters were calling from all over the place trying to get information. Headquarters was freaking out. They knew darn well what this case was. So I pressed them. I had my two courageous attorneys there, Clint Blackman and George Hardy. And I always say that, God bless you guys. I love you, man. They had courage, and I hope someday they get the credit for that. But we got the IG finally to pull out my investigative report that had all this evidence in it. What did we get? We got a one-page document written in someone else's handwriting that said that there was no problem at all, and their investigation had revealed nothing. So, are IGs always objective and honest? If they have interest in that organization, I can tell you right now, no. Should be, but they're not. Because of all of this, within these federal agencies, the NSA, the CIA, the DI, any agency that, especially the covert agencies that engage in nefarious operational programs, There is a culture of fear. You guys out there that still work there know what I'm talking about. Everyone, I used to call it the paranoia palace. Everybody inside there is afraid of saying anything because they know about this system. They will destroy you. They'll destroy your career. They'll destroy your finances. They'll destroy your family. They'll take you all the way down as far as they can, even from the outside. You remember Gary Webb, who exposed the CIA drug running operation down in Central America? Anybody know about that out there? Gary Webb eventually was driven to suicide. Remember that? Did anybody see the movie? Yeah, you see the movie. They destroyed his career, his reputation, his life, his family, and then he was found dead of a gunshot wound in a hotel room. The perfect crime. Drive him to suicide, and there's no culpability, and your problem is gone. Frank Olson jumped out of the CIA LSD program, jumped out of I think it was a 6-story window of a hotel room, committed suicide because he had found out that the CIA was drugging people with LSD without their knowledge. What a coincidence. Frank commits suicide. John F. Kennedy, again. How far will they go? Will they go that far? I think we all know the answer to that. And in a constitutional government, that's alarming, at the very least. Now, they tell us, well, 2012, the Congress and Senate came out with, we're going to take care of this. Whistleblowers being at risk and their lives being destroyed, their careers being destroyed. So we're going to pass the 2012 Whistleblower Protection Act, allowing any whistleblower that sees any illegal activity on the part of the government, we're going to protect them so they can come out and report it. Sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds like a good thing. What they don't tell you is if you read down through the act, anybody that has signed a secrecy agreement, is involved in any covert government program, or handles anything classified is not covered by the Whistleblower Protection Act. They have no protection. They are 100% at risk. And there are some that have come out thinking they were protected by this, and they were not. And they were penalized. That's the whole idea. This I talked about the state secrets privilege. These cases are sealed, and no one can see them forever once they're sealed in court. And this was kind of the most disconcerting for me. There are certain major newspapers, of which if I mentioned their name, you would know them. These are national papers that are communicating and directly connected, in this case, to the CIA and in some cases to the NSA. So if a whistleblower decides, I'm freedom of the press, man, you know, I'm going to the press and I'm going to report to the press this illegal stuff that I've seen. So they call up XYZ national newspaper, and if you do enough checking, you'll find out who that is. I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you what I've seen. In this case, the reporter got right on the phone, contacted the CIA, and told them what this person had just reported for the story. That has been done several times with this paper. They communicate with the CIA regularly regarding what they're going to publish and what they're not going to publish. Chilling. I call this massive structure the shadow government. Another fellow calls it the deep state. Take your pick. But I want to show you how massive this secret government is. Now, this is since 9/11. I can tell you a lot of this was pre-existing 9/11. Most people think that the NSA surveillance program was a result of 9/11. Isn't that what you've been told? The NSA surveillance program existed before 9/11 happened. That's what they're not telling you. 1,271 government organizations involved in secrecy within the United States.
David Phil was
1,931 private companies, large private companies, involved in secrecy in the United States, bound by the secrecy agreement. 10,000 intelligence locations across the United States. Did you get that? 10,000 secret locations, not overseas, not in China, not in Indonesia, not inside the United States. Now, the CIA legally is only supposed to have a foreign charter. Anybody know that? It was forbidden from having any operations within the United States. That was its restraint. That restraint is now gone. 10,000 locations, 4.8 million Americans, and that's just the ones we know of, hold government security clearances and are bound by and threatened by the secrecy agreement. the internet and Facebook. They're monitoring the internet is what they're doing. Let me just break that down for you. Now, do you think any of the Google executives can talk about the program? Do you think maybe they made them sign an agreement before they got the $5 million? Yeah. Why don't you hear anything about that? Why isn't Google saying anything about that? Well, that's why. Employees at every level. If you've got big-time Beltway bandit government contractor X that gets a covert agency contract, they are bound to sign the secrecy agreement, and every employee at every level on that contract has to sign the agreement. Secretaries, logistics people, of course the CEOs, people that run the copy machines, all bound by the secrecy agreement. Thousands and thousands of people. You see the number of people that are bound by the government out there? Are you kind of getting that picture? It's a lot, and that's just the ones that we know of. Here's a good quote. The top secret world of government created in response to the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001 has become so large, so unwieldy, and so secretive that no one knows how much money it costs, how many people it employs, how many programs exist within it, or exactly how many agencies do the same work. And then I italicized the next one. Not even Congress knows the size and the extent of this intelligence secret apparatus. That's why I call it the shadow government. They don't even know how big it is. They don't even know a lot of things that the CIA, especially, and others are even engaged in overseas. Syria is a prime example. This is a separate secret government that operates, and this is the part that really gets to me, it operates outside the Constitution. We are now in a post-constitutional government. It's over as far as the Constitution goes. That's why I'm here. Some of us want to bring that back. The only way to do it is to stand up against this. And there's risk involved, but we have to do it. Because if we don't, we're going down. Have we created a monster? My gosh. If you knew the size and extent, yes, we have. It's shocking. Now, Dane played this, and I want to emphasize this because this is more than a smoking gun. When the director of the CIA comes out, anybody know anything about the Council on Foreign Relations? So you know who he's talking to, don't you? All right, little global action going on here, all right? But when the director of the CIA comes out and makes a speech, every word is refined, winnowed down, and everything he says means something. Everything. Listen to what he says. Another example is the array of technologies often referred to collectively as geoengineering. Kudos to Dane. They're coming out and they're saying it. That potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change, one that has gained my personal attention. Geoengineering has gained the personal attention of the director of the CIA. That means something. Is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI. Now, let me tell you, based on my humble and meek experience, when the CIA comes out and admits something like this, they've been doing it for at least 20 years. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's about to be exposed, or he wouldn't be saying this. This is beyond a smoking gun. Now, some people will say, you just got that off a conspiracy internet website. I mean, come on. Well, you know where I got this from? CIA.gov, the CIA's own website. They're putting it out there on their website in writing. Now, why would they do that? Unless it's the two things I just talked about. They've been doing it for a while, and the cat's about to come out of the bag. The Vax people are going to do such a much better job in this, but I just wanted to mention, because I hate cover-ups, because I lived one.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nuga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio 92.7. Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Any isolated showers and storms will gradually diminish through your nighttime. Muggy overnight, lows of around 70. For Friday, another very warm, humid day. A few scattered afternoon showers and storms will pop back up. Highs into the upper 80s. A little hotter for the holiday weekend. Highs 88 to 90. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ringgold. For more, their number 706-278-1622. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Asher 4.
Radio 92.7.
Hey, Karen, you need me for that 1 o'clock?
Yes, Cheese, please. Karen, did you get the quarterlies done? Yep, they're filed in the cabinet.
Karen, can you describe the initiatives to the new hire? Thanks.
Oh, sure. Full-bodied, some floral notes, maybe a hint of dark chocolate.
Am I in the right department?
Got wine on the mind? Come unwind at Virgola. Italian wine, oysters, caviar, cheeses, and more. Perfect after work or a romantic date night. Virgola Italian Wine Bar, 608 Georgia Avenue.
Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins. Are you tired of making 1% on your investments with the banks, even 2 or 3% at best? Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins.
Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road. You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation. 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
The kids are back in school, routine has returned, and we've shifted our thoughts to the fast approaching holiday season. Are you hosting? Want to spruce up before your guests arrive? Whether you want new color and exciting wallpaper or elegant window treatments, the designers at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. With brands like York, Tebow, Graber, and Carroll, we know you'll find something you love. Stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today. It's really more than just a paint store. On Hicks and Pike, across from Valvoline, or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com. I got my business up and running, and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
Nuga Radio. Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7.
Nuga Radio.
Hopefully we've got that.
Yep. It's longer than we'd hoped, but I think we've got it out of that. I think it's time to come around full circle.
We hope. All right. We have been talking with Chris Brown, or attempted to talk with Chris Brown. And Keon, I'm gonna let you get back into that questioning with the coach.
Okay, and we'll see how much time we have to really make this work. But thanks for your patience, Coach. We're trying to get all this stuff ironed out, like I said. But we're at Starbucks 10 North at the North Shore, and we are talking to head coach Chris Brown of the Red Bank Lions, coming off of his first win as head coach of the team. And something really awesome just happened over the course of that game. You had a full team victory, and a full team victory is something that I think every coach wants to have. Sometimes your offense shows up, sometimes your defense shows up, but you've got special teams, offense and defense. Eventually, you guys got rolling. How important is that to have?
It's just incredible now. What's great is that each side of the ball, all three phases contributed to that victory, and there were many more opportunities for great players to showcase their ability and come out with a great quality.
Yeah, and talking about Central, because you guys went into overtime in that game, and you start on the 10-yard line. It's such a small amount of real estate to defend, And you've got a Central team that loves to run. I just thought advantage-wise, overtime favors them.
Oh, it felt like it did. It really did because of their scheme, that single wing scheme. And when you're talking 10 yards, the field shrinks, and that typically favors a running ball team. So it didn't favor us necessarily by scheme, but we're lucky we pulled that one out.
You had issues throughout and we're coming up against the break here. We've got about a minute, but just quickly, the depth of your team, how important was that? Because you had cramps, you had some injury issues, and your running back depth was there, your receiver depth was there. How important was that?
Actually, that's why we stress coaching them all every day. We felt like we could play down into about 30 to 35 players, and we needed every last one of them to do a good job done.
We're joined by Coach Chris Brown. He is the head coach of Red Bank High School. He's joining us here at Starbucks 10 North on the North Shore. We have a couple of drinks, by the way. Our game of the week is Red Bank visiting Signal Mountain, and we're going to talk about those.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Wendy Gillette. The body of Senator John McCain has landed at Joint Base Andrews outside Washington. He'll lie in state at the U.S. Capitol tomorrow. An estimated 3,500 mourners remembered McCain at a church service in Phoenix. CBS News correspondent Nancy Cordes was there.
In a church filled with thousands of mourners, the former vice president described a bipartisan bond forged 40 years ago when a newly released POW began accompanying a young Senator Biden on diplomatic trips.
We're both cockeyed optimists and really believe that there's not a single thing beyond the capacity of this country.
He wasn't the only one to recount a seemingly unlikely friendship with McCain.
I'm black. He was white. I'm young. He wasn't so young.
Larry Fitzgerald is a star wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals.
What made Senator McCain so special was that he cared about the substance of my heart, more so than where I came from.
Police say at least 4 people are dead and 35 injured after a Greyhound bus and a semi-truck collided in Thoreau, New Mexico, near the border with Arizona. CBS's Maria Villarreal reports.
A horrific scene sprawled out over New Mexico's Interstate 40 near the Arizona state line. This Greyhound bus's front end ripped off, debris scattered across the highway as emergency crews desperately tried to reach victims.
Oh, God.
New Mexico State Police confirm multiple deaths.
Greyhound says 49 passengers were on board the bus that was on its way from St. Louis to Phoenix. Police say the truck's tire blew out, causing it to cross into incoming traffic. President Trump is blocking federal workers from getting a pay raise this year. CBS News correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more from the White House.
In a letter suspending the scheduled 2.1% raise in the general schedule on which federal workers' salaries are based, the president cites the nation's fiscal situation. Even as he touts progress in the overall economy, Mr. Trump has also presided over a dramatic increase in the budget deficit, largely due to his tax cuts. Word of the pay freeze for federal workers came hours after the Commerce Department reported that inflation in the U.S. rose last month at the fastest rate in 6 years.
Colin Kaepernick's case against the NFL is heading to trial. The league wanted it thrown out. The former 49ers quarterback claims owners conspired to keep him unemployed because of his protests against police brutality and racial inequality. The markets all lost ground. The Dow fell 137 points. This is CBS News.
You have enough things to worry about every day. Insurance shouldn't be one of them. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Save more with Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Hey, what are you doing up here on the roof?
I want to tell the world I just met the woman of my dreams. What about you?
I want to tell the world that Liberty Mutual saved me $782.
Liberty did what?
They saved me $782.
Oh, you go first then. $782 really puts finding love into perspective.
Visit us online to get a quote, and you could save $782. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Based on a recent countrywide new customer survey, coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, Equal Housing Insurer.
Don't miss Kohl's Labor Day weekend sale. Pick up juniors and young men's graphic tees, 2 for $20. Save on Skechers shoes for the family. Kids start at just $39.99. And Dash Express Kitchen Electrics are only $29.99. Plus, take $10 off when you spend $25 or more. And you'll get Kohl's Cash this Labor Day weekend at Kohl's. Select styles, $10 offer valid August 30th through September 3rd with promo code Labor Day. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
The crew aboard the International Space Station has plugged a small air leak. CBS's Peter King reports.
The NASA Space Station blog posted news of the leak early this morning, air-to-ground conversations confirming that it was in one of the Russian Soyuz spacecraft attached to the station. Crew members found the leak after some debate on how to fix it. They've used a combination of sealant and a rubber plug.
For now, this is the only method. If it has not set yet, please try to remove the excess, because once it hardens, it will be very difficult to remove.
Question is now whether this fix will hold, especially for the spacecraft's role as a lifeboat for 3 of the 6 crew members and its eventual return to Earth. Peter King, CBS News.
Billionaire Warren Buffett says it's a better deal to buy U.S. stocks right now, even at higher prices, than bonds or real estate. He spoke on CNBC on his birthday about the best long-term investment. Buffett bought more Apple shares recently. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
The CPD are asking for the public's help after a shooting early Thursday left one person seriously injured. The victim, identified as 29-year-old DeMontez Russell, transported to a local hospital listed in critical condition. It happened just before 1 a.m. in the area of the 100 block of East 19th Street and Reed Avenue. If you have any info, contact the Chattanooga Police. The Knox County Sheriff's Office says the teen reported missing from Knox County July 30th has been found safe. 17-year-old Kayla Rordink was found unharmed in Georgia by law enforcement. No further details are available. And the Chattanooga Professional Soccer Organization has narrowed a list of potential team names to 5. The following names now open to the public for voting: Chattanooga Express, Chattanooga Generals, Chattanooga Iron Horses, Chattanooga Red Wolves, and Sporting Chattanooga. Val St. John for Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Nooga Radio 92.7. Nooga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Any isolated showers and storms will gradually diminish through your nighttime. Muggy overnight, lows of around 70. For Friday, another very warm, humid day. A few scattered afternoon showers and storms will pop back up. Highs into the upper 80s. A little hotter for the holiday weekend. Highs 88 to 90. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ringgold. For more, their number 706-278-1622. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Actor 4.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
We just started a family and we're already planning for the future. Michael Levy has helped pave the way to keep our financial future on track. He's local, he knows us, and cares about what's important to us. Don't put your future on hold. Call Michael Levy, 779-7755.
Diamonds, diamonds, diamonds. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Rick is buying and selling a woman's best friend, diamonds. Stop in now and check out the wide selection from Chattanooga's premier jeweler, Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road in Chattanooga. Before you buy, let Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds create that special gift for you. Diamonds, diamonds, diamonds. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road in Chattanooga.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Hello? Who am I speaking with? Eric, you're our winner. Really?
You'll receive tickets for all 3 races between the Camping World Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and the Monster Energy Cup races.
Holy cow.
In addition, you'll receive a 2-night stay at the Microtel Hotel and restaurant accommodations at 2 area restaurants.
Nooga Radio.
Roar into Talladega.
Nooga Radio
92.7.
Your NASCAR racing station. Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio 92.7.
NorthShore, and joining us is Reverend head coach Chris Brown, who's been very patient. We're very grateful for how long he's been just everything that we've had to overcome. But you know what? We're bouncing back.
And just as a note, Starbucks is staying open late tonight until 10 p.m. They're also offering this week's refreshers of the game, which are for both of the teams in our game of the week, which is Red Bank and Signal Mountain. The Red Bank drink is Red Bank Roaring Refresher, which is a strawberry acai refresher with lemonade, and then the Signal Mountain Eagles Frappuccino, which is a vanilla bean Frappuccino with strawberry. So again, Coach, thank you so much for being patient. I know we talked a little bit off the air about a slow start.
Right.
Offensively, what were you trying to get to your guys? Like, what was the point you were trying to get to your guys? Hey, we're okay, we're fine. Let's just keep plugging. It'll work.
Well, when you have two great football teams playing each other, and this being our very first game, it's going to take a little bit to feel it out and get your game legs, so to speak. So we just talked about keep pressing the game plan, stay with the game plan. It's okay. Just get comfortable out there. Welcome to the 2018 season, guys.
Yeah, and that has been tough for you guys because you guys, were unfortunately, unlike them, didn't able to play like 2 weeks ago. Right. And you had some adjustment period you had to deal with early on in the game. I thought your defense did a wonderful job keeping you in the game. They played great while your offense got their sea legs under them.
That's typically how it works in football. Your defense will be ahead of your offense, and Friday night was no exception for us. And a great individual effort, but really a great job by the unit as a whole. Very proud of them.
Yeah, and I thought you guys definitely did a good job. I know you said, you had some issues with Calvin not playing. You had some guys step up in the passing game, but then I thought you did a pretty good job on the ground. I know you went through some cramp issues with a couple of different guys with an ankle was one of them. But talk about the running game. How did you feel like it?
Well, we know we're starting 3 sophomores up front on the offensive line, and as talented as they are, there's no substitute for game experience. So that being said, we knew we had to press our speed and just trust that eventually we were going to wear down or find a crease. Well, our starting running back, a very talented sophomore named Lamir Strickland, fortunately went down early with an injury, but we thought we had a backup plan. Didn't want to have to use it, but our answer was another speedy guy, another junior named Angelo Ross. Unfortunately for him, freaking ankle, I think, on his second carry. Right. So, that was tough, but we kept searching for answers, and we ended up settling on our starting Sam linebacker, a kid named Eli Massengale Jr., absolute stud for us. And in the end, you just kind of leaned on him, leaned on those kids up front, and let them go out and win the game for us. And he secured the ball and got us 3 to 4 to 5 yards a pop on hard carries.
How important is it to have a player like that? Because he kept his legs moving. He always fell forward. Those are just little things that add up. And in a game where you were down several running backs, how big is that?
Well, it really sells home a point. You've got to be focused every play, every rep, and practice is important. Eli runs with the running backs for an individual. We never hoped to have to play him there, but he knew the entire playbook. He knew what was expected of him, and it just kind of sells what we sell our kids every day.
What aspects, and I think I already know the answer to this question, Coach, but what aspects do you want to improve on this week?
Everything.
I said I knew the answer to the question.
We've got to focus on executing better in all phases. We've got to cut the penalties down. Well, they weren't selfish penalties. They were execution and technique penalties, and we think that we've really focused on our technique this week. And film never lies, and when you put the camera on them and you put them in front of it, there's really nothing to say. So we feel like we'll be more efficient and less penalized team on it.
What expectations do you have out of the offense this week? I know you obviously want to execute better, but what expectations with having Calvin back this week? Do you think it takes some pressure off of some of those other guys? Do you think, it helps Maddox out a little bit to have that guy?
Honestly, I feel like we have several of those guys. I really do. Lucas Brown, a junior wide receiver, stepped up big and will continue to step up with or without Calvin on the field. So for us, it's just a matter of executing better. If we're a program living and dying by 1 or 2 players, we're not very good. We're not doing a job as coaches. So, of course, adding Calvin back into the fold makes us more dynamic. But for us, it's just about execution across the board, doing what you're coached to do, getting to your assignments, and playing great Red Bank football.
Signal Mountain's a team. They're 0-2. We know that record is not an indicator of what that team actually is.
Even close.
And plus, now they have that whole, wounded animal mentality where they know that it's kind of do or die time. How do you get your guys to play on their level in terms of the intensity they're going to come out with?
Well, our coaches do a great job of selling intensity and selling the importance of every game, every rep, every series. And our kids love to play football. I don't know how to sell that more. So they're excited just to play. And then you add in the fact that this is a regional game. You add in the fact that it's a border rival. You add in the fact that they feel like they can play at our level. I mean, we are the defending champs for a reason. Our kids will be more than motivated. I don't worry about motivation one bit. And they understand how good of a team they're playing. The 0-2 is not come out of our mouths because that's not really who they are.
When you do prepare for a team that, they are better than their record, when the kids, sometimes kids will see that and they think, hey, we should beat these guys. We won our game. We're 0-2 in practice. Because, you practice everything that includes attitude. What do you guys instill in them? Hey, just because they're 0-2 doesn't mean that they're just some pushover. We know how good these guys are.
Well, the good news with technology today is you put film on.
Yeah.
You want to tell me they're 0-2. I want you to watch this film. I want you to see how athletic Connor is and watch them running right by him. I want you to see how fast this quarterback gets the ball out of his hand. And after they see about 20 clips, they don't talk about 0-2. They talk about players. They talk about, wow, they really do that. Yes, they do. I told you. And we put excellent players. I don't even like calling it a scout team. If I've got a chance to see our best receiver for our defense, we're putting our best receiver in. That's how good we think Signal Mountain is. We don't have that type of disrespect.
What do you? I know film obviously has come a long way, even in the last 5 to 10 years, with being able to at the high school level. Obviously, at college and pro level, it's always been the high school level. You're talking about with huddle and everything like that. Part of your preparation, obviously, is watching film, especially as a staff. But for the kids, how much time do they get in the film a week?
Well, we're fortunate enough, and we build into our routine, but we have a lot of meeting time. And meeting time is built around watching film, whether it's our own practice film, opponent film, or previous game film. But we make it a big priority now. The best part of huddle is it allows you to see who else is or who's watching film on their own time. And I won't say that we require, but I have conversations with starters who I see are not on huddle watching film. You have to.
I mean, it's just like them having to study for class. You want them to study for football. And I feel like, that's what you have to do as a coach. You're like, hey, this is your classwork for football.
Yep.
You got to watch film. I know you have an iPad. I know you have a computer. You have a way to watch it.
But the best part, I've got one of our starting senior middle linebacker who was a captain. His name's Ashton Tubbs, a very productive player for us. I don't have to ask him to watch film. I have him bringing me film. Coach, check out clip 78. Do you see what they're doing here? Yes, son. Yes, I do. Okay, and that's extended on into our other linebacker, Clark Lockerbie Jr., make plays all over the field. That's a big part of why he had the stat sheet that he did. I mean, 12.5 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. I mean, just absolute wrecking things, and mostly because of the preparation that they and he put in.
You mentioned earlier Signal Mountain's going to be a challenge because in a lot of ways they play sort of like you guys do.
Yeah.
Similar scheme. Yeah. So in last week when we talked, you said that the advantage that you kind of had over Central was they didn't see a lot of what you guys do in how they practice. Now you're going up against a defense that knows how to play against your style. What big challenge is it with that?
And then it comes down to the familiarity and getting out of your own routine. I mean, if you play a team that's used to matching up with your formations and your routes, then you have to be more creative offensively and give them different looks.
How does that happen? What kind of decisions go into, well, our tendencies are this, so we're going to have to change it up?
Well, you said it yourself, studying your own tendencies, knowing what you are. What is the defense that you're playing against? What are they scouting about you? And you've got to do things that break those trends and tendencies to take that advantage away.
Do you expect we've harped on Signal Mountain getting off to a slow start not being an indicator of what they are as a football team? Do you expect Signal Mountain to come out with maybe some wrinkles that you haven't seen in film that you were like not trick plays, because I don't like using that because nobody's prepared for trick plays.
Right.
But wrinkles into the offense, into the defense that you're not expecting.
We expect to be taken by. Yeah, I do. Just like Central now, Chattanooga Central had shown the 2 formations the entire game against Walker Valley. Second play, they're in a formation that didn't exist in their playbook 2 weeks ago. So with Signal Mountain, I'll give them. We do expect wrinkles, but they have not lost games from a lack of getting guys open in schemes. I mean, they've had some critical drops that I don't expect them to make against us. I just don't. So I don't think they're going to get too far away from what they do, because what they do well with great players.
With that being said, do you expect with your guys I know you've only played one game; they've played two. Do you have wrinkles in your own that you can throw in that you probably obviously I don't want details necessarily, but are there wrinkles that you guys think that you can add going on later into not just necessarily this week, but later into the season to help you guys improve, get a little deeper into the playbook?
Oh yeah, the Coach Akins has an excellent offensive scheme that he's been perfecting for several years now, and within the scheme, kind of like us defensively, we have answers for things that we're seeing, and we have multi-facets to it depending on what the matchup is, who's the personnel on the field, what we're playing against, and we'll use whatever we have to get this tough victory.
When you come off of an overtime win the way that you guys did, you're one game short, but overtime adds a level of extra intensity. Does that actually help you guys in some kind of way?
You know, there's no way to measure it, but that is a character-building win. That's where a bunch of 15-year-olds I talked about last week, these sophomores, they grow up a little in a game like that. They really do. I don't know how you measure it, but it does feel like they're a little bit older than what they were before that game. So I don't know when it'll show up. I hope Friday, but we do feel like that gained some valuable experience to an overall pretty young team.
So before we end the segment, before you have to go, and obviously get to go home, have to be a dad and all that, and a husband and all that, but I'm going to switch gears a little bit on you, maybe surprise you a little bit.
Okay.
College football starts tonight.
Yes, it does.
Okay, just got an update from our producer, Jason, in the studio that UCF is beating UConn 21-3 in the second quarter. That's not really probably a surprise to anybody. You know, UCF returning a lot, Mackenzie Milton at quarterback. I have a question for you. One, who's your favorite team to watch in college football? Not necessarily who you're a fan of, but your favorite team style to watch. And then I kind of want to get an idea of where you think and who you think is going to be in the playoffs.
Oh, wow. That's definitely caught me off guard.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Nick dropping the bomb.
All right, let's see. You know, I pull for Vanderbilt and the Commodores, and I'm an SEC guy. I love watching Georgia's offense. I do. I mean, it's just I appreciate that style of play, especially in today's game. I love seeing the way they incorporate great athletes on the edge to go with the run game. And defensively, it sounds cliche. It has nothing to do with scheme, but if you don't appreciate Alabama and what they do and just how technically sound they are with some of the best players in the country year in, year out, then I'd be lying.
So I want to bring it back that part a little bit back to high school. To run that style of defense, 3-4, multiple 3-4 defense like Alabama runs, Kirby Smart, Jeremy Pruitt, all those guys that come from that saving tree, is that almost impossible to run in high school?
I wouldn't say it's impossible. Even for them, it comes down to personnel.
Right.
When you go out and recruit the best players in the world, you can pretty much run whatever you want to.
Right.
I think college offenses and the athleticism and speed that they're seeing really do merit 3 down more than usual. High school level, you can run it and be successful. Signal Mountain runs it. East Hamilton runs a 3-4 with defensive coordinator J.D. Dunbar that is extremely effective. Give him time and wait and see. But again, it comes down to what are you facing, what do you have. I personally think that we have an advantage playing a 4 down, but we're really using athletes at the ends. So it's a fast attack for them.
So what would you say is, and break down a 3-4? What's the most important position on the field on a 3-4 defense? Is it the middle guy? Is it that nose tackle? Do you have that big guy to eat that space, or could it be even your outside linebackers who are going to play multiple, be able to do the pass game and also rush off the hand?
Speaking collegiately to me, it's somewhere between the strong side outside linebacker who has to be a pass rusher, has to be able to cover, has to be able to be a man-to-man cover guy, has to hold edge. I mean, you're really asking that kid to do everything to take on an offensive lineman. Oh, and by the way, guard this slot receiver. So to me, you have to be incredibly dynamic, excellent football savvy, and just a freak athlete to play as Sam in Bama's 3-4 scheme.
Last thing, you avoided a little bit. Who's in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's a tough question.
Oh, man, it's just hard not to put Alabama. Right. I feel like Georgia, though they did graduate 2 running backs, it feels like they have 8 more behind them that are dynamic and an excellent, well-coached. Beyond that, I've been so wrapped up in our own season, I just don't.
Well, I had to put you on.
I like it. I feel like Oklahoma is always a tough bet to come out of that region. I don't know.
Yeah,
I expect the SEC to win it. So.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with Alabama and Georgia. It's hard to not keep them in, but because it does start tonight,
I like it, yeah.
and it gives us a little bit of an opportunity. But more importantly for you, tomorrow night, big game up at Signal Mountain.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, my goodness, I've got Sorry Daisy on the mind because we didn't get to do that game. But Signal Mountain, Red Bank, big rivalry up on the mountain. And we are at 10 North, the Starbucks here at 10 North. We do have special drinks for that game. This week's refreshers of the game are going to be Red Bank's Roaring Refresher, which is the strawberry acai refresher with lemonade, and then also Signal Mountain, their Signal Mountain Eagles Frappuccino, which is a vanilla bean Frappuccino with strawberry. Now, Keon and I will be at Signal Mountain tomorrow night, broadcasting live from Signal Mountain High School for the game of the week, which is Red Bank and Signal Mountain. Coach, before I let you go, I'm going to ask one question. I asked you last week. Any guys that you saw that really, not necessarily surprised you, but really stepped up in key moments? I know we talked a little bit about a couple of guys, but is there one or two that you really were super impressed with?
How much time do you have? I mean, honestly, I have to give Michael Porter his due. 4-year starting defensive back. He had the punt return for a touchdown. Really, really set us up with great field position every time he touched the ball in special teams. And not only was he a lockdown corner, through the cramps, through the injuries, he had to slide and play free safety for us. And, he wasn't always exactly where he needed to be, but he really, really saved our hind end by being a veteran. And along with that, a young guy I haven't given a chance to talk about much. There's a defensive end named Jaden Haas, sophomore, easily giving up 100 pounds, and the guy's trying to block him. And it was just an absolute nightmare to block late.
We saw that. He got to the quarterback a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Keep your eye on him.
Tremendous get-off.
And relentless pursuit. High motor, practices and lifts and studies at that speed. That's just what he does. So he was what we thought he was, and I think he'll continue to factor in the game plans for other teams.
Now, one other player I want to talk about. Last play of the defensive chain in overtime. Mr. Culpepper, who picks the ball off. I don't remember if in the last segment Keon asked you about that specifically or not, but kind of break down what happened on that play real quick for us before we hit
Sure. Taylor Culpepper was one that we were able to convince to come out from the baseball team, and he's won the starting job as a nose guard. And in overtime, they had pressed the ball. I think it was on the 6-yard line, and I honestly expected them to continue to pound it. I really did, being such a great running team. And so he's playing his one tech, and ball snaps, and he comes off the ball, and he clearly sees that if the ball's moving outside away from him, he is not the fleetest foot lineman you've ever met for 330 pounds.
Right.
So he kind of spins out of his gap, and he was telling me this honestly, Coach, I had no chance to catch it if I went forward, so I just kind of angled backwards and thought maybe I can pick him off the pylon. And while he's running at that angle, he just, if you see it on film, all of a sudden the ball's in his face, and he just reaches up and snags the fastball. What was funny to me is you can see him clearly on film, tuck it and start high stepping. He's trying to score, which I love. Immediately cut down though. But that was big. That was huge. But it set up an even bigger moment for a junior kicker, Kyle Smith, who's brand new off the soccer team and has repped everything he could over and over again for us, and came through in a moment that you never like to see them have to come down to the kick. But boy, I was so thrilled for him. And while I've got it, Nate Doss, senior captain, led in a lot of statistics at safety, had a great catch for us. Get a rough snap on that block to make it happen. I want to give him his proper credit on that. A lot of things came together for that play.
Absolutely. When it comes to getting guys from different teams on your campus, because I mean, your kicker comes from the soccer team.
Ooh, hot mic.
Yeah. Little ugly sound in there, but your kicker comes from the soccer team. You know, you've got a defensive lineman you've taken from the baseball team.
Oh, yeah.
And in those moments, I mean, they step up and make big plays. I mean, are you going to keep pulling guys from those teams?
Well, I mean, that's, to me, one of the greatest parts about Red Bank High School, and I can't sell it enough. Every head coach wants to share athletes. Every head coach believes in the weight room, and our kids feel that. Why not? You're a great basketball player. Why not play football? You're a great wrestler. Why not play baseball? And it's very fitting that Lucas Brown, a point guard, Taylor Culpepper, and Jacob Landers, great baseball players, want to join our team and contribute.
Yeah, you don't really see multiple sport athletes as much anymore, unfortunately. So I mean, it's one of those things that's pretty rare. And I'm really happy that Red Bank has been able to give you guys those kinds of athletes and players that can go out there and do those sorts of things. Sure. So you're listening to Nuga Radio 92.7 FM. We're here at Starbucks 10 North on the North Shore. Red Bank High School visiting Signal Mountain, and we're going to have that as our game of the week. And we'll be talking more about that and some of the other games.
Information, Nuga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Police and fire crews investigating a deadly fire Wednesday night in East Ridge that took the life of a man has later ruled it a suicide. Happened in the 1300 block of St. Thomas Street shortly before 7 p.m. No lane closures for the Labor Day holiday, according to TDOT. Construction crews will stop all lane closure activity beginning at noon on Friday through 6 a.m. on Tuesday, but be aware workers may still be working in many of the construction zones. And the CPD are asking for the public's help after a shooting early Thursday left one person seriously injured. The victim, identified as 29-year-old DeMontez Russell, transported to a local hospital listed in critical condition, happened just before 1 a.m. in the area of the 100 block of East 19th Street and Reed Avenue. If you have info, contact the Chattanooga Police Department. The Glenn Beck Radio Show, weekday mornings from 9 to 11 on Nuga Radio. Val St. John for Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Any isolated showers and storms will gradually diminish through your nighttime. Muggy overnight, lows of around 70. For Friday, another very warm, humid day. A few scattered afternoon showers and storms will pop back up. Highs into the upper 80s. A little hotter for the holiday weekend. Highs 88 to 90. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ringgold. For more, their number 706-278-1622. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Asher 4.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Hey, dude, check this out. Have you ever seen one so big?
Whoa, look at the size of that.
Look at this little itty-bitty one.
Wow, that's really small.
They have them big, small, and everything in between. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives at the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. We're talking about over 40 brands of knives, including Benchmade, WR Case & Sons, Booker, and all the Frost Cutlery brands. Now, Sam, you've been to the cutlery shop. Is it amazing?
Spectacular. The knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. They have knives, swords, kitchen knives, ammo, and reloading supplies, plus survival gear.
It's the knife shop at Frost Cutlery. Open 7 days a week. Hey, girls, you're going to love this. We're going to the knife shop.
Hey, let's not tell them they have ammo and loading supplies.
The knife shop at Frost Cutlery opens 7 days a week. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives. You're going to love the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. The knife shop.
And tell them David Toulis said.
Join Nuga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships as well as after school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation. 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
The kids are back in school, routine has returned, and we've shifted our thoughts to the fast approaching holiday season. Are you hosting? Want to spruce up before your guests arrive? Whether you want new color and exciting wallpaper or elegant window treatments, the designers at Chattanooga Paint and Decorating can help. With brands like York, Tebow, Graber, and Carroll, we know you'll find something you love. Stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today. It's really more than just a paint store. On Hicks and Pike, across from Valvoline, or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com. I got my business up and running, and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio.
You're listening to the Gridiron Game Show. I'm Keon Rose, joined by Nick Pugh, maybe Ben Jordan.
Maybe. We don't not paywall. Whatever.
It's radio, man. We're
live radio.
Live radio. You've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to improvise at the drop of a hat. That's what we're doing here. Starbucks 10 North at the North Shore.
Yeah, they're open till 10 o'clock tonight. Extra hour for you if you want to come by, get a drink. We're here till 9 o'clock. They also have specialty drinks for this week's game, which is Saudi Day, or golly, I'm going to keep saying it. It's Signal Mountain.
You got to get them off your mind, man.
It's Signal Mountain, and it is Red Bank. And now the Red Bank drink, which is they have refreshers of the game. There's two, one for each team. Red Bank is the Roaring Refresher, which is a strawberry acai refresher with lemonade, and then Signal Mountain is Signal Mountain Eagles Frappuccino, which is a vanilla bean frappuccino with strawberry. So those
recently learned how to pronounce acai.
Yeah, we even got it in here phonetically. So
yeah, they're trying to culturize us, make us
say things like acai. And now I'm just excited because I get to say words like acai.
I mean, what's not to like about all of that? Yeah. So we got a bunch of games. I don't want to belabor this too long because we've got just a bunch of games to get into. It's a full slate of games.
Yeah.
And so we'll start with the first one on the docket. Morris at Baylor. Who you got?
So, funny enough, I was actually at this game last year. Marist is in Atlanta. This game was right before the Friday night before college football kickoff. We went down for the Alabama and Florida State game and then the Tennessee-Georgia Tech game, and stopped in to see a good friend of mine. He played at Baylor, and we went to that game. Marist, it was at Marist High School, Marist Academy, and it was a blowout. Marist destroyed them. So I'm going to run with Marist again, just because of what I had to see last year. Marist looks. I mean, it's Georgia, man. It's Atlanta. Out there, just it is what it is. Private school in Atlanta. I'm going Marist.
I'm going to go Marist too, but not because of anything that happened last year. I don't know too much about Marist, but I do know that Baylor last week ran into a private school from Nashville. Knoxville, rather. And then now they're running into a private school from Atlanta. And it's just, like, these schools are just bigger.
Yeah.
They have more talent to pull from.
You know, Knox Catholic state champion. You know, Marist, good program from Atlanta. Baylor's running through a buzzsaw right now.
No, I mean, it's just a tough early schedule. At least they got that one win, and they're 1-1 right now, and maybe 1-2 when it's all said and done. Game number 2 on the docket, Grace Christian at Boyd Buchanan.
I mean, I don't even really think we need to talk about
Not really.
Grace in an absolute runaway. Boyd Buchanan, I've said it every week. They're going to have a rough year. And
I mean, they just have...
They have no depth.
No depth, but just the sheer lack of bodies.
Yeah, it's tough. So I'm definitely going Grace Christian there.
So, Ottawa at Bradley. This one's going to be a bit more fun, a bit more interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. Both schools, large schools, 5A, I believe it's a region game. I think I'm going to, even though they're on the road, I think I am going to side with Ottawa on this one, just because I trust what they do. I see what they do every year. Ottawa is a great program. So is Bradley. Bradley Central, but I'm going Ottawa here.
I've had to learn the Chattanooga high school football landscape, but I live in Ottawa, so I haven't had to go too far to learn how successful they are and how much they expect to win on a regular basis. I know Bradley's good. Yeah. They've got a lot of talent on that squad, but Ottawa is just, they expect to win every time they step out on the field.
They really do. And, that I usually, Ottawa they have something. They never are able to get over the hump and win a state championship, but it's that region, not region, but that classification, 5A. You run into teams like Oakland and things like that out of Nashville, so it gets tough on them. But Ottawa around here, there's not much better. Definitely Ottawa. Next is Loudon at Brainerd. Now, Loudon, for those of you from just Chattanooga that don't know, Loudon is up near the Knoxville area, just south around the Lenore City, Loudoun County area. Loudon's a pretty good program. Loudon at Brainerd. Keon, what do you think?
This is going to be interesting. I don't know as much about Loudon.
Yeah.
But I do like Brainerd in this season anyway.
So I definitely picked Loudon in our picks. But I don't know. This is one I struggled with. Loudon is really well coached. Brainerd has a ton of athletes. I think I'm going to switch. I think I'm going to go with Brainerd at this one. It is at Brainerd. So Loudon does have to make about an hour and a half drive down here. That sometimes can be a problem. So I think I'm going to go Brainerd as well.
Usually when I don't know the school from out of town, I just go straight homer pick.
Okay, well, that's fair.
So I did pick Brainerd, but not for any particular good reason. Next on the list, Sequoia visiting Central.
Yeah, so Sequoia, another good team. They are out in kind of like near the Cookeville area, near the mid-state. Good team. I believe they are 2-0. But I think I'm going to go.
I'm going to go Central also. I don't know. Again, I told you, if I don't know you, I'm sorry. I go homer pick. And also, we watched Central play last week. When they were playing Red Bank, you felt bad that they had to lose in that game. That's just how the nature of it works. But they played a really good game, and one where it looked like things were getting away from them. They were down 20-7. I know Red Bank had injuries, but they battled back.
Central seems really well coached, and I really do think they're going to have a really good year. They were just outmanned against Red Bank, and that's going to happen against Red Bank a lot this year. I think Coach Chris Brown does a great job at Red Bank. I think it was obvious that what he did in that game, having those guys ready to play after the debacle the weekend before with the weather. I think Central still is a really good football team. I think Central wins that game.
So the next game that we have on the docket is Silverdale visiting Chattanooga Christian. And
CCS, I guess. I don't know. Neither one of those teams is great. Realistically, neither one of those teams is really that good. I trust Coach Mariakis at Chattanooga Christian a little bit more than I know anything about Silverdale. So I'll go CCS just for the fact that I know Coach Mariakis is doing good things there.
Chattanooga Christian, they are, if nothing else, a fast team. And so, am I?
No, you're fine. Keep going.
All right. I was just a fast team. And I just am of the belief speed kills. If I have to choose somebody, I'm going to choose somebody who's quick. I'm going to choose Chattanooga Christian because I like the speed that they play with at that school. William Blunt at Cleveland.
Okay. First off, I'm glad Sam wasn't the one that said William Blunt because he never says it right. So thank you, Keon.
Does he always say Blount?
He does say Blount. Which William Blunt was the governor of the state of Tennessee. So if you don't know how to say his name, William Blunt. Anyway,
I have fewer struggles with the English language.
William Blunt. it is spelled like Blount, but it is William Blunt.
It's pronounced Blunt. And also, I feel like our next team on the docket, I'm also going to pronounce that correctly.
Yeah. So William Blunt, Cleveland. Here's the thing. William Blunt, again, another pretty good program. The governor's out of Knoxville, Blount County. I'm going to go Cleveland, though. just because, one, it's at Cleveland. Got to make that hour drive down from Blount County to Cleveland. William Blount plays really well at home, always has historically. Don't really know what they're going to be able to do at Cleveland. Cleveland's got a lot of athletes. They're really well coached, Cleveland.
I got the chance to see Cleveland last year, I think, when they went to go play Saudi.
Yeah.
And boy, that team just is a physically imposing team.
They are.
I know it just seems like on all these picks that we agree on everything. But honestly, some of these seem like no-brainers.
Yeah.
But like Cleveland is just so athletically gifted.
Yeah, they are.
It's hard for me to pick against them, and I don't know too much about William Blount. I'm just going to go with Cleveland just based on just sheer physical ability.
So next is Whitwell and Copper Basin.
Whitwell and Copper Basin?
At Copper Basin. So Copper Basin, for those of you that don't know, Coach Gradowski, who used to coach at Red Bank, is now at Copper Basin. God love him. That's a tough place to coach. Whitwell, pretty good football team this year. I really like the Tigers. I think they're going to be pretty good. I believe they are 2-0 at this point. Copper Basin coming in at 0-2, and it's probably not going to get much better. I anticipate Whitwell going 3-0, and then Copper Basin falling to 0-.
Yeah, I agree with you again. But here's the thing. Copper Basin is not the same as Signal Mountain. We talked about Signal Mountain not doing what their record was. Copper Basin is exactly what they are. They're 0-2. They're an 0-2 team. They look like an 0-2 team. We saw week 1. They were one of the few finals that we had, and they got dismantled. I got to go with Whitwell.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll move on to Grace Academy at Friendship Christian.
Yeah, you skipped one.
Did I? East Hamilton at East Ridge. Well, because I can't read, apparently. So East Hamilton at East Ridge. Coach James at East Ridge. I don't know.
This is actually a tough one.
Yeah, you pick first.
But East Hamilton, I'm going to go with East Hamilton. I think a lot of it is they've started the season very well. They played against Signal Mountain in week 1 in that nightmare of a game that went well past midnight. And
I was asleep.
We were all asleep. Trust me. I mean, we were in the studio during it, and we were asleep then. To be honest with you, I look at East Hamilton and I go, "This is a team that is capable of finding a way to win." Right? And if nothing else, and I know this is a tough one because East Ridge is really good too. I'm going to go with East Hamilton because I think that they can grind out a victory. That's what I've seen so far from them this season.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, man. I'm going to East Hamilton as well. This is interesting. We just continue to agree. Now we'll move on to Grace Academy at Friendship Christian.
I don't know very much about this game. To be completely honest with you,
I'm going to go Grace Academy just because I know more about them than I do Friendship Christian. To be honest with you, and this is bad on me, I don't even know where Friendship Christian is.
And also, how imposing can you be as a football team?
If your name's Friendship
Christian.
Yeah. So
Grace. We're going to go with Grace.
We're going to go with Grace? Okay.
All right. Anderson County at Hickson.
Okay. So Hickson gets to play the first time on their brand new field.
Good for them.
Good for them.
It's a beautiful field.
Too bad the field does not fix how bad of a football team you have, Anderson County.
Which, this might be where we first diverge, and we're going to diverge on a technicality. I just went homer pick again, basically. But Hickson, they're not very good this year.
They're not usually very good.
But, I mean, that being said, the new field, you're at home, you're in front of all the fans. Maybe that might give you a boost for a game, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be eating a lot of crow Saturday morning.
Yeah, you probably will with that one because it's not a good thing.
I have one horrible one a week.
Yeah, I know.
So at this point, I just roll with it.
Okay.
Jellicoe. Lookout Valley.
Yeah. I'm gonna go homer pick here. I'm gonna go Lookout Valley.
Why?
I don't know.
It's just complete. Because Jellicoe's also just an unknown to me.
Well, Jellicoe usually is pretty good. I like to see Lookout Valley continue to improve. It's a program that was very down, and they're starting to move up a little bit and get a little bit better. But I'm thinking maybe an upset here. Lookout Valley over Jellicoe.
I'm going to go with Lookout Valley again for all the reasons I mentioned before. I just go straight home and pick on all these.
I mean, that's fair.
Bledsoe County at Marion County.
Battle of the County. Okay. Yeah, I'm going Marion. just because Marion County is a pretty good football team. Bledsoe's not bad either, but they have to go to Marion, so I'm going Marion County. Just literally, I think they're pretty close to equal on the field. I just think Marion County.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. When you have two teams that are that close, it's easier to just go with the home team. That little extra boost that you get from that.
Now, the next game might be realistically one of the best games in the area this week, tomorrow night, and that is Montgomery Bell Academy, also known as MBA, at McCall. Now, talk about two powerhouses. You got MBA, Montgomery Bell Academy from Nashville. You got Macaulay from here at Chattanooga. Macaulay, they are on pace, realistically, if you look at the talent on their roster to make a state championship run this year. It's got to start by winning these home games against your region opponents. They've got to beat NBA. I think they do. At home, I'm going Macaulay.
I'm going to go Macaulay too, but not because I actually know who NBA is. So I feel very good about myself. Give myself a pat on the back for that one. Because this is a big deal. You just have two schools of that magnitude going up against each other. I agree with you, by the way. This is going to be one of the more interesting games next week. When you were talking about being a good team and the difference between a good team and a great team, Macaulay wants to prove that they're a great team. Great teams win the games that are very difficult to win. This is going to be a tough one, but I think being at home helps. And I do believe, Macaulay being one of the physically gifted, better coached teams in the region, I'm going to go with Macaulay.
All right. We'll alternate. I'll let you read this one.
Meigs County at Cumberland Gap.
Meigs. I don't know a ton about Cumberland, so I'm going Meigs there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I liked our schedule last week when we had a bunch of teams that I knew. This is one of the things. I go homer pick with Meigs. I don't feel like I need to join all the time on that.
Next, Notre Dame at the Christian Academy of Knoxville, CAK. Again, we're running near the end of the show here. We got about 5 minutes, but we're almost done with these picks. But I'm going to go Notre Dame here. Christian Academy in Knoxville, not one of the better private schools in Knoxville, so Notre Dame.
And I'm going to go Notre Dame.
Homer pick.
Because homer pick, yeah.
Okay.
Hey, look, I'm a very predictable man. Tyner at Polk County.
Okay, so this could be another one of those. I think there's like 3 great games in the area this weekend, and this is one of the 3. Tyner at Polk County. Polk County, big, strong. Tyner, small, fast. I'm going with the defending state champion runner-up, so I'm going Tyner here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tyner as well, just because, the reason I picked them last week is the reason I'm picking them again. First off, I got a little, Al Davis mentality. I just see people that are fast, and I go, them. Yeah. I always just choose fast teams. Tyner is so alarmingly quick and athletic. I got to go with Tyner.
Okay, so the next one on the list is our game of the week. We're going to save that for last. We're going to move on. Walker Valley at Ray County.
Walker Valley, Ray County. This is an interesting one because I don't know that either of these teams are particularly.
Ray County's really good.
Ray County's really good.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ray County's going to blow them out of the water.
Well, then there you go.
Ray County will run.
Walker Valley isn't any good.
Ray County runs the wing T, and they run it to perfection. It's unbelievable. Walker Valley's in trouble. Stell Creek at South Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Do we even need to talk about that?
Not
South
really.
Pittsburgh
Let's
in a run away.
Just R.I.P. Stell Creek. Cannon County at Sequatchie County.
Sequatchie?
Sequatchie.
Okay.
Homer.
My alma mater. So Lenore City comes down. Lenore City in that Loudoun County area. Lenore City comes down to Soddy Daisy tomorrow night. Sorry, Lenore City. It's not going to be pretty. Soddy Daisy's going to run away with that one. Justin Barnes going to start 2-0 this year. I think that's the one. I think Soddy Daisy's going to be in good shape going into the middle of the season. 2-0, Soddy Daisy starts.
I agree. I'm going to go Soddy. Look, I looked at them, and I really wish we'd gotten to do a week 1 that Red Bank Soddy game because that would have been just magnificent. But, yeah, Soddy Daisy, they're so good.
They are good.
They're really good.
All right, game of the week. Our game of the week. Red Bank at Signal Mountain. We have 2.5 minutes to break this down.
Oh, we gave ourselves plenty of time.
Plenty of time. Keon, you start.
I think, look, part of this is I initially thought, well, I know that Signal Mountain's very good. They They're 0-2. It doesn't look like it, but I think like maybe they're going to have a bounce-back game. The problem is I meet Coach Chris Brown, and every time I talk to the guy, he convinces me that Red Bank's going to win. So I changed my mind. I'm going to go with Red Bank. Just the way that they played last week, the fact that they had to overcome injuries, they had to grind out a win, and they still managed to do it. They came down to overtime, did it in style with the big fella making the interception basically on the goal line. And, Red Bank, when you look at the fact that I don't think they're going to be as dinged next week, they're going to be healthier, right? Like maybe those guys will learn their lesson and start drinking some water, and we're not going to and sleep. Yeah, we're not going to have as many cramping issues. Hey, I got to go with Red Bank.
So, as big as this rivalry is, and as much as Signal Mountain always wants to defeat Red Bank because of what it is, I don't see Coach Roberts and Signal Mountain winning this game. I think Red Bank just has too many horses. Calvin Jackson's back this week. I feel like Maddox is going to be a lot more under control this week. He's got his safety blanket back. I think Red Bank wins by 2, maybe 2 touchdowns, 17 points. I really think Red Bank's going to.
That sounds right. Calvin Jackson's going to be back. I can't imagine that Strickland's going to be gone for the entire game. You just look at the absolute athletes that they have on that squad. And those guys are going to be healthy this week.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight here at 10 North at Starbucks here in the North Shore. This has been the Gridiron Gang Show. Join Keon and I tomorrow night, 7:30. Sam will be on at 7 p.m. for the kickoff, countdown to kickoff.
Brought to you by 101.
That's right. And we'll be back tomorrow night from the mountains, Signal Mountain, Red Bank. Enjoy and have a great rest of your night.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 p.m. on Nuga Radio 92.7 FM.
Nuga Radio 92.7. 3, 2, 1.
Chatter, Nuga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Police and fire crews investigating a deadly fire Wednesday night in East Ridge that took the life of a man has later ruled it a suicide. Happened in the 1300 block of St. Thomas Street shortly before 7 p.m. No lane closures for the Labor Day holiday, according to TDOT. Construction crews will stop all lane closure activity beginning at noon on Friday through 6 a.m. on Tuesday, but be aware workers may still be working in many of the construction zones. And the CPD are asking for the public's help after a shooting early Thursday left one person seriously injured. The victim, identified as 29-year-old DeMontez Russell, transported to a local hospital listed in critical condition, happened just before 1 a.m. in the area of the 100 block of East 19th Street and Reed Avenue. If you have info, contact the Chattanooga Police Department. The Glenn Beck Radio Show, weekday mornings from 9 to 11 on Nuga Radio. Val St. John for Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7. Action News now.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Any isolated showers and storms will gradually diminish through your nighttime. Muggy overnight, lows of around 70. For Friday, another very warm, humid day. A few scattered afternoon showers and storms will pop back up. Highs into the upper 80s. A little hotter for the holiday weekend. Highs 88 to 90. Control your diabetes with the help of Hamilton Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. Now in Dalton and Ring.